Thank you to Progress Ohio for keeping up the fight to protect the rights of workers, to promote opportunities for working families, and to reignite the American dream for all. Tonight, you honor two Buckeyes standing front and center in that fight with the Toledo Progressive Hero Awards. Karen Kraus is more than a longtime activist and AFSCME member. She is a cornerstone of progressive activism for her community. Indeed, if Toledo's workers need a champion for their cause, they always call Karen. While leaders like Karen have done the outside mobilization across Ohio, Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur has led the inside maneuvering in the halls of Congress and has gained national respect for that leadership. As one newspaper said last year, Congresswoman Kaptur has an impressive record of getting things done. From Toledo to Washington, indeed across the nation, that statement rings true every day. The longest-serving woman in the House, a senior member of the Appropriations Committee, Marcy has never forgotten her roots. Marcy is respected on both sides of the aisle and on both sides of the Capitol. For Marcy, Ohio's working families always come first, with investments in jobs that can't be outsourced, in economic growth, and the strength of local workers, manufacturers, and businesses, and labor. For Marcy, our country must always stand by those who have done so much to defend and build our nation, our men and women in uniform, our veterans, and our seniors. For Marcy, progress for Ohio's families means progress for the American people. Thank you, Progress Ohio, for recognizing the work and leadership of my dear colleague, Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur. Congratulations to Marcy and to Karen on receiving this year's Toledo Progressive Hero Awards. Thank you.
And before I get started, I had one other duty I forgot to do, and that is, if you are a current elected official, could you please stand? And I tried to do a sign-in sheet, but I know I didn't get everybody, so can you please just let us know that you are here?
Tom Galloway, State Central Committee, Senate District 2.
Joe McNamara, Toledo City Council.
Go ahead.
Anita Lopez, Lucas County Auditor and candidate for mayor.
Steve Steele, Toledo City Council.
Paula Hicks Hudson, the Council President, Toledo City Council. Lindsay Webb.
Lindsay Webb, District
6.
I know this is going to be most of the audience, but for all of our friends in labor, could you please stand? I want to thank you all. I would go through all names, but we would be here all night. I get to one last introduction before I just get to hand out awards, and it is to my great friend and a great friend in the National Labor Movement, Ken Wards. Ken is on the Progress Ohio board. Ken has been a good friend for a long time. The United Auto Workers in this state should be proud to have a leader of the stature of Ken. He's quiet, he's very effective, and quite frankly, he's the best that we all have to offer in labor, and we should all be proud of him.
Thank you. Thank you. Brian, that was very kind. You know, and Brian started out the program this evening without an introduction, so I want to just say a few words about him, because the work that Brian does at Progress Ohio is just unmatched by any other organization. And I'm proud to work with him on the board, and I'm proud of all the work that he does. And Brian, thank you for all the work you did putting this together this evening. I have the honor tonight and the privilege to present Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur with the 2013 Progressive Hero Award, and I can think of no one more deserving of this award. Congresswoman Kaptur has never forgotten where she came from. She consistently advocates for and fights for progressive issues important to working families. She never gave up on an effort to recognize our World War II veterans. And because of her persistence, the World War II Veterans Memorial stands in Washington, D.C. today as a tribute to our veterans. She furthered her effort to honor World War II veterans by organizing a series of honor flights every year to transport veterans to Washington, D.C. to see the memorial. She continues her efforts to fight for those who protect us. Marcy recently secured a $1.7 million award to help over 400 low-income veterans in Cuyahoga County and to help prevent them from the risk of becoming homeless and to help them to the transition of permanent housing. As the longest-serving Democratic woman in the United States Congress, Marcy has fought for good-paying jobs, fair trade legislations, and vehemently opposed the NAFTA and permanent normal trade relations for China. Recognizing the importance of the auto industry to the American economy, Marcy was one of the first lawmakers to take action when the auto industry was in trouble. Today we're seeing the results of that action as the auto industry and the economy continues to rebound in Toledo, in Ohio, and across our country.
Amen.
Chrysler and General Motors have invested hundreds of millions of dollars right here in Lucas County and Toledo, creating nearly 2,000 jobs, building the best transmissions and the iconic, most patriotic brand Toledo Jeep. Whether it's jobs, affordable student loans, youth programs, affordable renewable energy, the environment, the affordable health care, Congresswoman Kaptur is always on the side of working families. So on behalf of Progress Ohio, organized labor, and working class families, it gives me great pride to present the 2001 Progressive Hero Award to Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur.
First of all, Brian and Ken and everyone who has come out on this inclement evening to celebrate, I thought I was coming tonight to pay tribute to Karen Kraus. And so please know that I accept this for her. Because anything any one of us does as an elected official is actually being held up by all of you. And imagine being a member of Congress or any elected official in this region to have Karen Kraus as one of your constituents. I have so many memories. I remember, if we take more recently, issue 2, and Karen going around and getting signatures. And she had a very strange habit. If she were here with us physically tonight, she would come in the back door. And you know how she'd wind her way around the edge of the room and around the tables, and she would get the job done, and then she'd sort of graze the table at the end. But she always had an agenda, papers, you know, things that she was doing, and she was truly, truly an activist in the best sense of the word. I remember in the Affordable Care Act and the struggles that we had in Congress on a bill that passed by one extra vote in the House, 219. You need 218 to pass anything, and it was 219. And the last several votes we know we took across the line, as Brian said, and it was, we literally wrote the language for that in the White House with the top attorneys in the country, trying to bring two counter forces together who never talk to one another, literally. We got more and more of that in the Congress, if you've noticed. So that act was very hard fought for, and I think of it so often because this morning I began my day very early. One of my friends happened to fly in here. She used to live in Toledo, can't live here anymore because of health problems, but flies in the summer for a couple days. We got together for breakfast, and she's staying with someone in Maumee whose son was terribly injured. And were it not for the Democratic Party, that family would be completely bankrupt, because Medicare has kept this child alive and existing after a terrible, terrible accident. And there would be no way that any family could bear that burden, day after day, month after month, year after year. And we think about the Affordable Care Act as an add-on and an improvement in the insurance system of this country, so that no family ever has to go bankrupt because they don't have health insurance. Everyone, and I sometimes look at these members of Congress and I think to myself, how can you possibly not know anyone who doesn't have insurance? How can you possibly have the position you do? And so this fight continues, and just as with Social Security and Medicare, it is a fight that America will win, because the Democratic Party and all of you and your spirit and the spirit of Karen Kraus inspire those of us who have to carry the banner and have been given the strength to do that. So I'm just very honored to be here tonight. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for allowing me to be a member who can fight against NAFTA and PNTR and bring some news to our current president that he didn't want to hear about why those agreements haven't produced trade surpluses for this country, and what we must work on together in order to improve those agreements so they finally have labor provisions and environmental provisions for the sake of the whole world. For the sake of the whole world. Two final thoughts. One is that as we move into the immigration debate in the Congress, we'll see what is finally brought to the floor. But back in 1993, when we were fighting for a different trade agreement to govern our relations with Mexico and Canada, we fought so hard to try to move language into that measure that would allow for agricultural transition in the Mexican countryside. And we knew, those who cared to pay any attention, that one of the results of that agreement would be that millions of people would no longer be able to feed themselves. And both our government and their government turned their back on those people. And now, many of them are doing what you would do. Flee in desperation because you're hungry and because you have no place else to go and you don't own land anymore. And what has been created, going back to '93, is the largest continental exodus in modern history. So that's all, you never hear about that in the immigration debate, but it goes all the way back to that and to the unfinished business of NAFTA. You'll hear more about that later. The last thing I just want to say, and I thank you for this award, this week, one of the fights we're in, and it's a tough fight, and I thank Progress Ohio and all of you for being in it with us. We are trying to hold Wall Street accountable. This is not but there are two things we are doing. Number one, the major bill in the House to restore something called Glass-Steagall is a bill that I authored. In the Senate, Senator Tom Harkin has introduced that bill. And in the House this past week, we just went over 70 co-sponsors on a bipartisan basis. We are very proud of 70. That's better than one. It's not 218, but every week the number grows. And people are beginning to see that something is really wrong. Really, really wrong. If I look at what happened up north in Detroit, people want to blame everyone, right? Here's a couple numbers for you. in the past 15 years, Michigan has probably lost 48% of its manufacturing jobs. It took the government of the United States, without any Republican help, for the most part, to refinance the automotive industry of this region in this country. But when you have a state that loses nearly half its manufacturing jobs, and then when the market imploded in 2008, Michigan alone lost $180 billion in home equity. $180 billion. Now they say, well, you know, it's those people in Detroit. Their pensions were decent. They shouldn't be decent, right? They actually have health benefits. Well, we don't want to do that. Whoever thought of that idea? And so the gap in financing those pension and health benefits is $6 billion. $6 billion. When Michigan's lost half of its manufacturing jobs and $180 billion in lost property value. How do you make something work when that happens? So that's up the road. So the good news is that we have 70 co-sponsors on our Glass-Steagall bill, and that is a bill that Wall Street absolutely hates. And I love it. I love it. Because it says that some Americans are paying attention. I thank you for paying attention. Thank you for this generous award, which I accept in Karen's name and also in the name of each one of you in Progress, Ohio, because all of us stand on your shoulders. Thank you very, very much.
The next award is the Harvard Class Sokol award that we give every year to an activist. And we had hoped that Karen would be here today. I do want to let you know I've talked to her a couple times in the last few days, and she really wanted to be here. She wanted me to tell you all that she loves you all. She did tell me to tell you that. And she just was too under the weather right now to be here this evening. So what we do have today is I've invited Steve Kowalik, the Regional Director of AFSCME Council 8, her union, to present the award, and he will present the award to Bob Lynn of Jobs with Justice on her behalf, two of the main groups that she has worked with. So thank you.